Leave us alone. Why are you in this conversation?
Welcome, cousins. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. And please don't forget to smash the subscribe button and, most importantly, the like button so others can see this video and join in on this conversation. Yesterday, we talked about what the people are saying about Taylor Swift's new release album. A particular lyrics has been sparking a conversation, and I think it's the lyrics in the song I Hate It Here. In that song, she referenced how she wants to go back and live in the 1830s, but without the racism and without marrying women off to the highest fee. People started reacting to that lyrics, people calling her out that that is so tone deaf and that that lyrics was coming from a place of privilege. Other people joining on how tone deaf it was. It was not just Black people talking about how tone deaf that lyrics was. This Asian American guy decided to hop on it and share his own thoughts and decided to drag Black people. In his words, verbatim to verbatim, he said, Black people will rip Taylor Swift and her music to shreds, and people have been stitching and tagging his video. Because what do you mean by Black people will rip a music to shred when it is not only Black people complaining about it? Without wasting much time, let's get right into what he said and as well what people are saying about his video.
Black people will rip Taylor Swift and her music to shreds, and like that's somehow okay because she's like white and she's like mediocre. But the second like a non-black person criticizes their black faves just like a little bit, suddenly it's like that music's not for you. You can't criticize, like your opinion is not valid because this music is specific to this community, and sometimes music is just not made for certain groups of people. They always say that like their black artists are a voice for black people, and like I completely respect that. But in the same breath, they will attack Taylor Swift for writing from a white woman's perspective. And it's like not even like constructive criticism. They like literally attack Taylor Swift for like the craziest things. I keep seeing people talk about like Taylor Swift's new lyrics in like this song called like I Hate It Here or something. And in it she's like talking about how like nostalgia makes her think she wants to live in like the 1830s without like the racists, and people are calling her racist for it. Taylor Swift says in a song, I don't like racism, and somehow that makes her racist. Everything is racist. Oh my gosh, the amount of videos I've seen on my timeline calling her racist for that song is absolutely insane. And it's like not just black people, there's like lots of like white people and like Asian people and like literally so many races of people that like attack Taylor Swift for no reason. I'm a diehard Swiftie, but like I don't even love the new album that much, but like damn, y'all are more obsessed than the fans. It's just so wild and so crazy. I don't understand how minorities always have a pass to misconstrue and like be so mean to white girls. Literally get a life, and maybe her music isn't for you. Have you like ever considered that? Stay jealous of her success though. Will rip Taylor Swift and her music to shreds.
Black people want to know where this infatuation comes from with people invoking our community in conversations that don't seem to be particularly relevant to us. I know why though. It's because people benefit from Black outrage and they know that making inflammatory statements is going to get them views and is going to help them go viral. I mean, I'm responding, but that's largely because I have some thoughts. Notice how this creator mentions Black people at the start of the video, but in the latter portion of the video speaks about other communities of people engaging in identical behaviors, rather than speaking about the broader collective of people that have critiques for Taylor Swift or carry certain sentiments or opinions about her. He decided to fixate on one particular facet of that collective, which is very calculated. That said, though, you're entitled to your opinion. People are welcome to love her music, to not love her music, to be members of her fan club. I know many people that adore her, many people that are Black and brown that adore her, and that is fine. I don't particularly resonate with her artistic expression, but I respect those that do. Now for the 1830s line. I thought that it was odd. I thought that it was bizarre. I acknowledge that she offered a disclaimer saying, 1830s without the racism. But let's be very honest with ourselves. Why is it that someone like Taylor Swift can find even an inkling or ounce of connection to that era? Why is it that Taylor Swift felt the need to include or supplement that line with a qualifying statement, that being minus or without the racism? It's because she knows that we know that if she did not provide that qualifier, it wouldn't land well. And I don't know that it is landing well. Another point that the creator had made was about, maybe this music isn't made for you. And I think you might have a point there. I don't think the music is made for me. Again, I know of people that look like me and that are members of my community that love her, and that's fine. But if there's ever been a time that I think has really reinforced the disconnect that I feel to Taylor Swift and her artistry, it is this moment and this very line. Because when I think of the 1830s, I think of my enslaved ancestors. I think of people from my lineage that were eliminated. I think of a point in time in which people that looked like me had absolutely zero agency or freedom over their bodies, their livelihoods, or their mere existence. Now, I know there are going to be some people that are going to say, well, there were some freed Black people, and yes. But the overwhelming majority of us, with or without our freedom, we're still oppressed and are still oppressed. Now I want to touch on the comparisons that people like to draw between the Black community and other communities of people. The creator made some comments about how Black people respond with such vitriol, some might say, or passion or aggression when people critique Black artists, but then feel so inclined to be extra vocal about their sentiments about other artists that are not Black. And I want to initially say that I am not here to say that I condone certain reactions from members of my community or that I would respond in a similar way, but I do want to offer some context because I think that these conversations and this discourse is often very unproductive and reductive when it is void of context. The reason why Black people respond in such a way when people have criticism for Black artists has a lot to do with the fact that our culture, our artistic and creative expression, our existence, our language, our way of life has historically been desecrated, disrespected, dehumanized, degraded, co-opted, stolen, and repackaged in a way that is deemed to be more palatable and turned into a commodity for the benefit of people that do not belong to our community. Point blank, period. It also has something to do with the fact that at times people's criticism of Black art and Black expression is not always informed by wanting to critique the material, but more so the person making it. At times, the criticism is coded. It's a vehicle and an avenue for racism, and I think Beyonce is a really prominent example of that, particularly with her latest album, her country album. Forgetting that Black people created country music for one, but also just thinking through that further, Beyonce is Black, but she is of a lighter hue. And now, if she got that reaction, how do you think others? She's also somebody that's, objectively very beautiful, very wealthy, yeah.
Black people will rip Taylor Swift and her music to shreds.
This is the same man who literally said he would let a gay white twink call him Asian slurs while they're getting intimate. Poppers, anyone? This is the same guy who sat here and literally built a following off of rage baiting, making weird pedophilic jokes, bro. Like, of course you would be okay with what Taylor Swift said. Bye.
Black people will rip Taylor Swift and her music to shreds.
Now, I've seen a lot of videos criticizing Taylor Swift's new album. I think it's called The Tone Deaf Poet Society or something, and some of the cringy lyrics in her song. And a lot of these creators come from a variety of different races. But y'all have black people living rent-free in your fucking head. Why? Why do you always have to drag black people into every fucking thing and make it a black people versus us problem? Why? Is it only because you feel validated when you attach yourself to black people in some sort of way? Which you and I are both gay men, and I am very clearly aware of how gay men specifically adopt and validate themselves through black culture, specifically through black women culture. Like, why do you gotta drag black people into everything? If you see a black content creator making fun of Taylor Swift's lyrics, just like you see a white content creator making fun of Taylor Swift's lyrics, that's all it is. It's not a black and white or black versus us thing.
Black people will rip Taylor Swift and her music to shreds.
Kevin, I call bullshit on your whole take. For you to sit here and make an assumption that all black people like to rip up Taylor Swift is wildly silly and incorrect. It's also disheartening to see this come from a person who I believe is a person of color, and correct me if I'm wrong. To see this take come from a creator of color, I'm assuming, and I could be wrong, is wild. I'm sure you don't like when people try to make assumptions about your whole community, now do you? Or what community do you claim? Because from your video, I think you would like to assimilate yourself with whiteness as much as possible. Now, to get to the Taylor Swift lyric, I definitely see how some people will have a problem with this lyric. Do I think that Taylor meant any harm from it? No. I think she was just writing and putting out her truth, which she is allowed to do. I don't love the lyric, and I feel like she could have made the same point she was trying to make without saying what she said. In the 1830s, there was more going on than just racism. Slavery was a huger issue in this country. On top of that, if you weren't a white man, you did not have any rights. So I do feel like maybe we could have focused on a plethora of things than just trying to call out without the racist, because we know there was a lot of other things going on there. Maybe without the racists, the sexist, and the bigots. Now, I do wish that some people would take the chance to listen to the full song in its context, because I do think Taylor was making a good point, and she was just calling out racist, but then she also calls out being looked down on, because that time period wasn't fun for anyone. And I think she even alludes to how a lot of these discrepancies and problems are happening today, and it kind of just encapsulates the whole song that I hated here, because a lot of things are still garbage, whether if it was 1830s or 2024. There's still a lot of racism, sexism, misogynism, all of this out here, and we do need to put a stop to it. But to get back to Kevin, I think you're an idiot. I really hope that you educate yourself before you get on the internet and speak wild facts. And I'm sure you are getting dragged and your video stitched a ton right now, which is probably what you wanted. But I do think that you deserve to be called out, and we will continue to call you out for making wild assumptions about a whole community of people that you do not belong to. So, what do you guys think down in the comments? Were you feeling the song? Do you agree with me? Do you agree with Kevin? Let me know down in the comments.
Rip Taylor Swift and her music to shreds.
I think I'm more confused at the fact that she just dropped 31 songs and you took a second out of your day to talk about us. You guys are literally obsessed. It should be studied at the highest level how y'all are always bringing us up. I think a lot of the time y'all are just too comfortable getting in our business, because we will hop on the internet expecting the community to respond, and then here y'all come critiquing our critiques. Don't worry about what we think. We already knew it wasn't made for us.
Black people will rip Taylor Swift and her music to shreds.
You know, you can't even say that, because we love a Somali. We love Demi, Amy Winehouse, Haley Williams, Adele, Pink, Reba McEntire. I can continue the list. Like, we love people that can sing. We love people that are talented. And listen, I love me some Taylor Swift growing up when she was in her country, era. Mine is my favorite song by her. Love that girl down. But being honest, this was just not a eater. She did not do her best. Like, come on, we can be honest about that. Even about the lyric. The lyric was not a good lyric. It should have not been in the song. It did not eat. But we're racist because we want to talk about how it just wasn't good. Cool.
Black people will rip Taylor Swift and her music to shreds.
Have you ever heard a child curse? Like a child say a bad word and you know that something's off about it? Like they said the word right, but just something is wrong with the way that they said it. Maybe they emphasize the wrong part of the word. Maybe they trail off at the end of the word. You can just tell that this is not a word that comes natural to them, that they know that they're doing something wrong. I'm just gonna say, I have never heard a non-racist person say black people in such a weird way. Like black people, saying it as if it's unnatural, as if they don't say that word often, or if they do say that word, they only say it in inflammatory context. People who say it kind of like it's a slur, like it's a bad word. This creator has admitted to using the N-word, like it's no big deal. So we know that he says slurs. And he probably says them in the same way that he says black people, you know, as if he knows he's not supposed to be saying it. If your body is fighting you to say a word, maybe don't say it. If you can't even say black people right, maybe you shouldn't be speaking on them. People with black friends don't typically have this problem where they say black people like it's a bad word. People with black people in their circle don't feel so forced when they say the word black. They don't over pronounce the first half of it, make the k sound like it's the hard R. You can just tell, like it's tiny things like that that make you, it clues you in to who is privy to black culture and black people, and who is from the outside looking in and hating. I was gonna comment on the Taylor Swift stuff, but like there's no need to. It's obviously inflammatory, like he's trying to get a rise out of people. It just is it's silly. It's silly that he's trying to get a rise out of people when he can't even say black correctly. He's trying to poke a bear, but instead of poking the bear, he just looks stupid. Like a child saying a curse word.
That's somehow okay, because she's like white.
Okay, I think there needs to be some points made in the argument of a double standard or the roles being reversed. And the thing is, the roles were reversed for centuries. There was a double standard for centuries. And the system of white supremacy has allowed that to flourish. Now that things are changing, now those who are in power, who tend to be cis, straight white men, are having a problem with it. But it's ironic because they never had a problem with subjecting marginalized groups and communities through all that bullshit. Now that they're facing it, they want to change stuff. And what's crazy about it is that they have the privilege and the power to change it. They have the power to dismantle white supremacy. And yet they don't. They just sit there and complain the entire time. If you don't like it, change it. Use your privilege to change it. Otherwise, shut the hell up. There's going to be double standards. Women are going to expect more from men because that's the system that they've created, that men have created, right? Certain black and brown and indigenous communities are going to have certain things that white folks cannot critique or insert themselves in because of past experiences. If you don't like it so much, change it. Use your privilege to make systems more tolerable, make society more welcoming, and not always tear down marginalized communities and groups. If you're not going to do it, shut the hell up and expect a double standard.
Black people will rip Taylor Swift and her music to shreds and like
time and time again, Taylor Swift has inserted herself into conversations that she is simply not ready to have. The criticism around how Taylor Swift both uses and dismisses her whiteness is an incredibly important conversation that needs to be had, because Taylor Swift is teaching millions of young white girls to do the same exact thing as her. I'm going to give you two blatant examples of Taylor Swift doing this. The first is when there was a conversation going on around the VMAs and how it would continuously snub and ignore the contributions that Black women make year after year. Right, and while this entire conversation is going on around how we need to uplift Black women, Taylor Swift inserted herself, because nobody was talking about her, she inserted herself into that conversation to make the statement that this wasn't a legitimate argument. In fact, this argument and this conversation in itself was misogynistic because it was pitting women against each other. She eventually had to apologize because numerous people within the industry were speaking out against her and calling her out. In fact, the only person that publicly agreed with her was Piers Morgan. But that's just one example of her entering a conversation that she does not understand ignoring her whiteness and then inserting herself into it. The behavior that illustrates to young white girls is simply inappropriate. It is not okay. Another example of this is around the same time, a white supremacist group claimed her as their Aryan princess. And Taylor Swift didn't denounce this, didn't reach out to them with like a cease and desist of, I don't want to be affiliated with you, whatever. She just let them carry on. When she did get involved was when an article was written about it. And they were saying that it was a little strange that she hasn't tried to distance herself from this. Right, she sent the writer of that article a cease and desist. Time and time and time again, Taylor Swift has shown that she is not capable or willing to become capable of having these conversations. Let's not forget she put out her own little documentary, Miss Americana, where she got on camera and cried a bunch of white tears about how she was going to get involved in politics. It was irresponsible for someone with the voice that she has to not speak up, to not use it, and that she was never going to stay silent again, and cried and talked about how important it was to speak up. Right, she's never spoken up again after that. Just so we're clear. Right, so she got on camera saying she would never be silent again, and then remained silent ever since. That's insane. Taylor Swift has always just, instead of advocating for groups, tried to find a way to self-insert herself into a group, and then she'll speak up. I think one really great example of this is her You Need to Calm Down music video and song. I am a lesbian, and I can't even tell you how enraged that music video makes me. Taylor Swift has time and time again co-opted queer history, queer phrases, like dropping hairpins, lavender symbology, using queer icons like Clara Bow, Emily Dickinson. Like, she has always kind of walked this line where she is co-opting queer history and then gets mad when she's associated with it too much. Right, the video is of a bunch of LGBTQ plus icons who all live in this fictional town, this fictional trailer park. And in that town, she's the sheriff. Can you understand how that's a problem? How she is she is incapable of speaking up for a group without speaking over them. She will not advocate for a cause that she cannot put herself in the center of. Taylor Swift is the epitome of a white feminist, and she is teaching millions of young white girls to follow in her footsteps, and that is dangerous and that is irresponsible. She is teaching young white girls that discussing race is inherently misogynistic and divisive, and it is not. But teaching that strips people of their ability to empathize, and that is why Taylor Swift is dangerous. I haven't listened to her new album, but I have seen that lyric going around where she's calling everybody who called out her affiliation with Maddie Healy and who she was aligning herself with. She called all of those people vipers in like an empath cloak, like people pretending to be empaths that are actually vipers. People who were calling her out for openly associating with a man who is racist, misogynistic, every ist you can think of. She didn't see him as the problem. She saw everybody pointing out that he's a racist to be the problem. Taylor Swift is more than capable of hiring people to be around her that will put everything she says through a different lens that can prevent things like this from happening. The reason stuff like this keeps happening, like the other line that she'd like to go back to the 1830s without all the racists, yeah, that keeps happening because she refuses to surround herself with anybody other than those who just blindly support her and say yeah. She has surrounded herself with yes men, and that will be her downfall.
What do you guys think about all these stitches? I love every single stitch, like every single stitch. I could listen to the first lady and the last lady talk every single day without getting tired. I love how they are not even like directly attacking the Asian guy. They are literally educating him and showing him how stupid his take was. I love how the last stitch as well broke down how Taylor Swift will get herself involved in stuff that she's not ready to address or be a part of. Black people said they are pissed about the 1830 line and the way he was even talking about the black. Someone actually pointed that out on the stage as well. The way he was pronouncing the word black with so much strength, as if a black person has collected something from him in his past life. Like, I really want to understand the intent behind this video that he made. I came to the conclusion that he only did that to be able to get views, because that is the only thing that makes sense. And a lot of people are already clocking it that this guy is doing this thing to get the views. He has said so many nasty things. He has made so many nasty videos. He has made videos about a pedophile. He has made video about allowing someone call him the slur word. He has made so many disgusting video on his TikTok account. So a lot of people have clocked that he's doing that just to be able to get the attention. There are so many non-black white people literally talking about that same thing as well. It was not black people only. And if you guys watch his entire video as well, it started off as black people. Towards the end of his video, he has well highlighted the fact that other people that are not black, non-black people, are as well talking about it. If black people said they are not okay with that line, they are not okay with that line. Like, why are you so bothered as a non-black person? Literally talking about how black people are reacting to a line that has to do with their own history, how their own people were treated. And the fact that he was literally generalizing black people, there are still some black people till today that there is nothing that Taylor Swift can do wrong in their eyes. They will always be there to support, they will always be there to stream, to listen, to even like share tweets to support her online. So there are some black people are not even going to speak up about anything. The fact that you could generalize that way and paint black people in a certain way, and towards the end of the video now start talking about how other people, other non-black people are as well saying the same thing. That only shows to us that he started that because he knows that a lot of people are going to tune in, a lot of people are going to stitch, which will increase the visibility on his account and as well help him a little bit. So let me hear what you guys think about what he said. Let me hear what you think about the stitches. Aside from his stupid takes, I love all the stitches. I love how they literally focus on different areas and still drop so many facts. So let me hear what you guys think, and I will see you guys in the next one.